Forge Out of Chaos is the dungeon crawl. It is, even if it's not a dungeon, it's still the dungeon crawl. Right? it is all about the party, the adventures, line of sight, who hears the attack in time, and all sorts of things like that. And the skills are all grossly practical, really, really pragmatic, live through this danger kind of skill. There's very little about, there are not 3 skills you need to work with leather. Here, you need 3 separate skills to work with leather. You're right. You've got skinning, tanning.
Yeah.
You could even have the tailoring skill. Then working with the leather itself, and I mean, somebody really cared about leather working when they made this game, almost as much as they cared about oils. So
yeah.
Oh my god, the oils. Oh my god. It's interesting. It is interesting how the skills want you to create this naturalistic depiction of a character, but also you have to make a character who is ready for adventure at the same time. And it's like Burning Wheel. There's an antagonism there too, where it's just like, I want to make my character make sense with these skills, but also I need to make them also be able to win a fight. It's really strange. That's it's very strange.
I agree, and I'm not sure it's actually a specific philosophy so much as confusion.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I
go
agree.
ahead. Wait. Helma's trying to say something. Yeah.
It works anyway. I mean, basically,
we made
what this
it work.
Yes.
We
what
put
the
some effort
skills
into that,
gave me was a lot of background in the sense of who she was,
right,
and who she probably still is, but never will get back to. What I see is she
her life has changed
around
now.
the way. Yeah. Along the way, she'll drop out of that caravan as soon as she realizes that basically nothing is left. And then she'll just get lost.
Yeah, but maybe so. But who knows? I mean, I wouldn't anticipate. What I would say is that, yes, no matter what, her life has changed. She's definitely not going to just be, even if you did, your tribe has changed.
I think either she'll simply really try to forget that she's a shaman.
All right, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And go back to farming and go back to try to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Because
and I think
she, from the start, she wasn't really comfortable with her powers.
Mm-hmm.
She did use them during her travels because she had to, and she understood what they were good for. But I don't think that's what she is.
Well, yes, and we also know that the other path is possible too, that you are a little bit like Skava, you are forced into the position of maximum, turn up the power as much as you can. So who knows? But what I was going to say was something very, very inspired by what you pointed out. This is a game where the skills on your sheet matter even if you don't use them, because you actually have a broad profile of what your character has done and what they know.
Right.
And so that's characterization right there. Yeah. It's all characterization right there. Even if you're doing something different, you are that person who does those things.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But thank God we didn't go into dungeon crawls, because Vefselk would have just died. It is nice, but it's also like
You know what's interesting of what Helma said?
Oh, the monsters are heinous too. I mean, you got to hit them 85 times before they go down. I mean,
no, exactly.
I need to understand how we could kill some. I mean, I went and read some of the monsters, and
it's insane. They've got 1,000. They've got 1,200 hit points.
It doesn't make sense. How do you kill them? You don't do enough. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
maybe that was
if we looked at some of the really heavy magic or magic weapons.
Maybe
if we looked at some of the warrior skills that we're not that good at, right? Like critical strike or something. But I still can't imagine taking down one of those, never mind a dragon, but I mean, even a wyvern or something, or a bear.
Right.
Right. I mean, how are you going to kill a bear? That thing's horrible. Right.
Yeah.
So it is a little weird. I mean, I kind of scratch my hands and I scratch my head. I'm saying, at the conventions, I'm sure they sat down and ran a combat with people to demonstrate the game.
Yeah.
What did that?
But I wonder if they.
What did that demo combat even look like? I can't. Right. Yeah. I can't imagine it. Right.
I'm wondering if they did the thing that they played, the Sweet Six in D&D, that you keep playing the first 4 or 5 levels and never go beyond that, and you feel, oh, this is how the game works. And
well, that's how a lot of games are. I was just talking to the Italian students in that class this week, and I was talking about how don't seek for logic in a lot of the later play of a lot of games, because the game system will have no logic at those higher levels because they just didn't play it ever, in any sustained way at that point. So anyway, the experiment that I really wanted, which was simply to experience the ethnic tensions of half Duster and Duster and Draver and everything, to experience that, to back up the biology they implied with a little more biology. And incidentally, that's another thing. It's a little bit like what you were talking about with the skills. I can imagine lots and lots of actions that my NPCs might make in your character's presence that would very much enrich our play. And that if we continued to play, I would have in my mind of when and if this comes about, I know this would be important to me. One of them would be if somebody tried to do something, for example, to Ithasha or to Farith while Had was traveling with you. And what a Duster who was not familiar with humans would think about seeing a human get a solid knee to the groin, which to a Duster would be, an unpleasant blow and could, shock the muscles of your pelvis and things like that. It wouldn't. Right. It would be a strike to the body for sure, but it would have no special effect or anything like that. And the Duster would be like, "What the hell happened to that guy? Right? What the hell was that? Yeah. Right?
That would have been interesting,
right? Because they have no external genitalia. I mean, a groin strike is just a strike to the body. So, it would do something like that. So that's one, and the idea that Had could do that is not. I mean, I look at the combat skills that he has, and I was like, oh yeah, that could happen. And so the situation with other things. I mean, the notion of, I wish that I had spent more time with Farith with the people of the Jackal. Just a little bit more, just to see what life day to day was like, or what it was like for you to live with Dusters for a little bit. They were Dusters who were pretty close to humans. You wouldn't have been in a completely foreign environment, and just what it was like, when it's bedtime. And they, you've laid out your bedroll, and they know that they have a place where humans could be pretty comfortable. And then they all just turn into snakes and wriggle into the ground, right? You're like, well, yeah. So that's how they go to bed. Okay, right?
That's the part.
You can do a prequel.
Right. Well, but what I'm thinking though is that I have all of these kinds of little bits. And that lets me know the fact that all of these things exist. I'm not frustrated that we didn't see them. It lets me know that I feel the setting. I feel the characters. Right? It lets me know. Just like looking at all those skills on your sheet, you're like, okay, even if I never use that, I'm glad it's there. Right.
If you need to showcase the importance of setting, you can show people these and then say, imagine playing that game in your generic Germanic European setting.
Yeah.
Now tell me that setting doesn't matter.
Right. It matters immensely. And so, for example, setting is not just. I keep saying, color is not just skin. Right. You don't just skin a game system. onto a different genre or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Right.
I think that you're missing so much about what we do. And in this case, go ahead, Helma. Sorry.
I just wanted to say, I mean, we had this supplement.
Well, that I just picked it up for this reason.
That's what made it.
Well,
that's what made it happen.
It really
to the point that I was completely baffled that Siva didn't react on me basically jumping into her face.
Right. Well, I did. Mm-hmm. I'd actually decided to downplay the role playing.
Human.
Right. Well, I was kind of.
She didn't even realize what I did.
Right. It's how am I going to put it? I could have role played that a little bit more, but I felt like we needed to close out. So basically,
no, but it was fine.
Yeah, I think that she was very impressed and was, drawn back to the gravity of the moment, and that she should stop thinking about making money for just a few minutes, But the thing I was going to say about the supplement is that it's not all by itself, even just with the core rulebook. The Dusters do look like they stepped out of a Western into this fantasy setting, right? They do.
Yes.
And then when you see there are the teepees right there, right? And I will talk more about the supplement, I think, in writing or reflection. They should have gone like one more year of work on this to clean it out. Their totem animals are very European or Australian or native. I mean, it's too much. It's like all these, every shamanic culture, right, is in it.
Yeah.
And so you roll on a table and it's everything from jaguars to crocodiles to kangaroos and things. And you're like, wait a minute, wouldn't the Dusters, and I don't want to roll on this, right, for any duster. I mean, it should be specific to it. Dusters to me seem far more geographic than that, far more specific than that. And it seemed like they kind of went and read a book on shamanism and like just dragged everything they could into the supplement. They needed to play this more, right, to specify it down for what was right for them. And so I know that you said after the first session that it felt somehow like a Western to you, Lorenzo. Well, I was determined to play a Western without ever mentioning the word or without ever using the specific visuals like a cowboy hat or something, which would instantly destroy it, right? I won't, but I was determined that in every possible way we would be playing a Western.
Yes.
Right. With these fantasy elements in place. And so that's how I played it. Every character, if you think about it, all my NPCs are straight out of classic, that idiom.
Yeah.
So that was what I did. Yeah, Helma.
That was a little bit funny because when we started, or before we started, my references, my ideas were far more African deserts.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
I had been looking at Russian steppe.
Yeah.
And places like that. But because the factor that it was a desert was so dominant even for me to see, although I didn't have any supplement on paper or anything, I was reorienting to Africa, and it took me a little time to get away from it, and I'm still feeling a little bit sad.
Well, I don't think it needs to be lost. Sense? I mean, remember, with role-playing, we imagine things differently, and the composite of what we say turns into the fiction, right? So therefore, I didn't try to discourage that. Whenever anybody used references of that kind, I didn't think it was wrong. I just said, okay, that's them coming together with what I'm saying, and what I'm saying is just the thing. I'm not defining the reality of play by what I'm saying or imagining. I am contributing my piece of it, and my piece looks like that. My piece.
And it was. Way. I mean, it was still okay.
It worked well together, I think. Yeah.
I mean, compared to even the Jackal tribe, my idea all the time was that she was really from behind the moon.
Right. Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it
There was-
it fit.
Mhm.